Hey, you guys. Happy Saturday. Hey, Knee Deep. I see you one of the first ones in here. Girl, you know what? Let me put it in the sisterhood because I did not put it in the sisterhood. I had to change it one time today. I ain't going to be long today, though, y'all. I just wanted to touch on something regarding it's indirectly involving one of our sisters. Hold on. And I just wanted to say it on here. But let me put it in a sisterhood really quick. I know a lot of our sisters are out with a retreat. I see that they are having a good time. That is awesome. Hey, Island Girl. Which is so wonderful. And for those that could not go, I'm pretty sure that y'all are gearing up for the next time. A lot of us have obligations. A lot of us have things to do. I know that my son is getting ready to graduate. I know he had prom, so I have a lot going on here. The timing was just crazy. But hold on, you guys. I'm going to put this in. But I'm going to talk a little bit. I know it's more so. Hold on. All right. So basically, y'all, what I wanted to touch on there, like I said, it's not going to be long. So, if those who catch the replay, because I know everybody's not used to me going live. But since I have a little time today, I want to come on and touch on this a little bit. And it's mainly, y'all, about grief a little bit. And it's a lot has to do with one of our sisters who always feel like they have to come on all the time and explain their grief. And I just don't think she should have to do that. I don't think she should. She does, and I don't think she should have to do that. So, and I speak to her all the time on the back end about it, but I want to come on the front end and kind of show her some support. Hey, LaCondis. Hey, Jamaica. Happy Saturday, you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm not going to be long, you guys. Like I said, I had a little bit of time today, so I want to come on and touch on this subject a little bit. And it just so happens that this subject came in around the time that I know you guys are familiar with my mom. She passed about 4.5 years ago, and tomorrow is actually her birthday. So this came at kind of like the timing was just kind of crazy, and it just so happens that this young boy, his mom passed and he's so young and he's getting ready to go, got drafted in the NFL, I think, and then his mom passes. I'm going to say this. The one thing I don't understand, and I never will understand, is that I know that people come on here and they have their differences. I know that, hey, I support this person. I support this person. So if you don't like my opinion, I'm going to talk about you. If you don't like you say this about me, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to say this about you. I'm going to go pull this up on you. That's what we get most of the time. Or, they want to try to grasp at straws and take a picture, dissect a picture of you, dissect what you look like, try to do everything they can to discredit who you are, what you look like, what you're wearing, blah, 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 blah. But, those of us who are confident in who we are, that shit goes in one ear and out the other. Excuse my language. That shit goes in one ear and out the other. You don't even bother, because any woman who take the time out to come on a platform and dissect the way another whole woman looks right down to the T or whatever, that they have a problem. So anyway, I take that back to say, a young man such as that, who is getting ready to celebrate one of the biggest, stepping stones of his life, he also has to mourn one of the biggest losses of his life, which is his mom. And I don't really think people understand the concept of how, of how something like that can change your whole life. It can really, really change your heart, change how you see life. It can really change how you move in life. Until you experience it yourself. Now, when somebody passes in your life, when somebody around you, they have grief or death in their family, you're like, oh, it's okay. Is there anything I can do for you? Blah, blah, blah. That's how they carry it, because they have not had that experience as of yet. So, they don't know how to empathize with you. They don't take that to heart with them. So, and then they tell you things like, well, it'll get better, just kind of get over it. You just kind of, and that's exactly, I'm going to be transparent. I'm guilty of that, doing the same exact thing. Just kind of, when somebody else, parents have passed, a sibling have passed, or somebody close to them have passed, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. Is there anything I can do? But time will get better. You're kind of nonchalant with the way you kind of carry it, and your empathy is not there. Well, I didn't know that until I experienced it for myself. And when I experienced that for myself, my whole world changed, y'all. At 40 something, like when I lost my mom, at 40 something years old, and you lose the whole foundation of what you know to be in life, you lose that cripples the way you think. It cripples the way you see life. It cripples your foundation completely. It rocks your foundation. And it really pisses you off when people can make so light of that situation and be like, girl, you'll be all right in a couple of years. Girl, you'll be all right. Time heals everything. That's bull. I'm here to say that is a bunch of bullshit. Time don't heal nothing. You just learn to live with it. So I see, and I've seen screenshots. I've seen a lot of things where people make fun of grieving, make fun of, oh, you should have been got over losing such and such, or you should have been got over blah, blah, blah. There is no time frame on grief. There is no blueprint to how you deal with grief. So that goes to my thing with Ashley D. Ashley D, I find, I don't know if y'all know me, Ashley D's history. Me and her really got to know each other the end of last year. Even though I knew of her from last year, I never knew her directly. And I started talking to her, and I seen her from a different lens all of last year because I never had any direct contact with her. But once I started to get to know her, I seen her from a different way. And I knew she was grieving. I knew she had a sister that passed, but it seems like to me that every other month or every other live, she's explaining her grief about her sister. And I think sometimes I just feel like that's just completely unfair to her. And I always tell her on the back end, no matter what, don't come on live, don't come on here and explain your grief and how you're grieving, the way you're grieving, and the time frame that you're grieving in, because nobody can tell you how to do that. So I see her doing that all the time, and it bothers me. And as a friend, I'm always telling her, stop doing that. Stop explaining. It doesn't matter what you do, how you say it, how much you say it hurt, how much you say this, how much you say what happened in that time frame. If somebody on here dislikes you, they are going to do everything they can to discredit who you are or whatever. They are definitely going to use that against you. So sometimes it's not good to bring your grief onto social media because people use your trauma against you. People definitely use your trauma against you all the time. And I'm not saying that y'all to bring the situation down, because I know we've had a great weekend. I know I've had a great week, and then you got the sisterhood, but I'm just really able to catch up on all the lives like within the last 24 hours. And I seen Ashley D's live. Hey, Ashley. I seen Ashley D's live the other day. And my thing was, I don't think it's fair to her to have to always explain her grief to, I don't get on here and I don't explain nothing about, I say it, people know it, but for me to get on here and explain it and break it down to people, I'm not going to do that, because people will take your trauma and they will take your grief and they will use it against you just to literally hurt you, just to literally bother you. And if you show that it's bothering you, if you show that it hurts, they're going to know that they've got your trigger point. They're going to know, and they're going to consistently use that against you. I've only had one person on here, one person that said something about that situation. And to me, she just a demon within herself. That's just a whole bunch of hate she got, and I would never respond to that. That's a demon. Only a demon will come out and say something, any retrospect to somebody that's grieving, not toward the dead, but just somebody's grief, or somebody have expressed, something that may have hurt them in reference to losing a loved one. So I ain't pay that no attention. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. One thing I will say is that ain't no escaping what we all have to go through. Bottom line is, as siblings, one sibling, you're gonna have to, either your sibling gonna bury you or you gonna bury your sibling. It's no way around that. It's no way around that. Same thing with a parent. Either you gonna bury your mom and dad or your mom and dad gonna bury you. There is no way around it. There's no way, there's no cutting no corners. There is no way around it. It's just everybody's timing is different. Everybody's timing is so different. Everybody's understanding of it is different. So you don't ever have to come on here and explain your grief, but only to people that, you can come on here, and sometimes you can express yourself and find people who may have had the same experience as you. You can find comfort sometimes in knowing that people have went through the same thing you have. You can do that. But I must say this, when you do open that door, you're going to have people that don't like you, that dislike you. They're going to use that against you. They're definitely going to use that against you. And I wish people would take, and the reason why I put Derrick Harmon's picture up there is because you got to understand something. Even though this boy is celebrating the most victorious thing of his life, he's also going to have to bury his mom. He's going to have to bury his foundation and move on without her as far as being in the physical presence. He's going to have to learn to live life in a different, spectrum or a different way without her. And imagine how hard that's going to be on him. So just watch, just watch how he navigates his way. Because there's going to be times he's going to mess up a lot. You're probably going to hear about him doing things, but no, that's probably his way of grieving and the only way he knows of grieving. So I see that kind of bothered me, and it really pissed me off. I seen it, and it really, really, that really, really pissed me off to see anybody using grief against a person because they know that they have grieved over a loved one or grieved over somebody, or they're still grieving. I don't care if somebody passed 10 years ago. If it's their mom, it's their sister, their brother, their dad, anybody they were close to, they're going to still be grieving in a way. And I'm not going to lie, y'all, I get triggered by an ambulance. I don't do good with ambulances. If I see an ambulance, I get very bad anxiety. And that's because the night that my mom had passed, she was in an ambulance. And I think they had resuscitated her and brought her back. And then, so I get very bad anxiety over ambulances. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful who you tell your trauma to, who you give your grief to. Even on social media, I know celebrities, they automatically, they're going to deal with that. But I think people surrounding them, I think grown-up people who have a mature mind, no, they don't touch that boundary. They don't touch that way, especially if that person has had a full-blown relationship. And I'm not talking about, I lost whatever at 2. I'm not talking about that, y'all. That's just, you're using your own trauma to try to bring in stuff. I'm talking about people who truly are grieving. And that have had full-blown relationships with their siblings or their loved one. They've had full-blown relationship. Celebrate the biggest milestone of his life while grieving. Yes, knee deep. Exactly. Hey, Mama 3, it is sickening, Lacan. It's very sickening. It's heartbreaking. And like I said, I see it, but I've never said anything about it. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like those things should be off. Those things should be very much off limits. But I think males, I'm gonna tell y'all a story that I had. A friend of mine, I've known him for years. Actually, he's my kid's barber. He's not their barber anymore, but he was their barber. And we may have dated maybe once or twice, but we realized we were better off as friends. But anyway, I know his mom was dealing with cancer. And of course, my mom, she dealt with cancer. And so we became close and we talked all the time as friends. And so when my mom passed, he did the whole pat on the back, and I'm so sorry to hear that. And, if there's anything I could do for you, blah, blah, just the usual, sympathetic stuff. And then guess what? A year later, his mom passed. And he came to me and he said, you know what? He said, when his mom passed, the first person he thought about was me, because he said he didn't realize how painful or how much pain I was in until he actually experienced it for himself. So for those who feel like they can come on and make fun of the grieving process and make fun of somebody or talk about somebody, use it because of your need to try to giggle and be funny and make fun of and whatever, your need to do that. Just remember, you have to cross that road one day. You're going to have to. There's no way around it. You're going to have to cross that path. You're going to have to walk that road. You're going to have to walk it, and then you're going to look back and you're going to say, damn, now I see how she feels. And it's not going to go away over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. It's not going to go away like that, especially if it's somebody very, very close to you, such as a parent, such as siblings, such as somebody that you're close to. You live with that. You learn to live with that, and you end up having triggers such as songs, pictures, clothes, perfume, smells, TV shows, things that can trigger that are happening all around you. So it's not that easy. And people deal with their grief in different ways. Some people are very quiet. I'm very quiet about mine, very, very quiet. And I grieve in private. Some people, they need outlets, like drinking and, doing substances. Some people do that. I wouldn't advise that. Some people start their whole life over. Some people, are angry. Some people curse people out. They're angry every single day for the rest of their life. They deal with grief in different ways. And you can't tell somebody how to deal with their grief. You can't tell nobody that. But when you go through it, then you tell people how to deal with it. You tell people, this is what happened. So anyway, I just say that because that came up, and this just so happens to be the weekend of my mom's birthday. And, I seen Ashley D's live, and, her having to explain her grief once again for the 100th time. I just don't feel like she needs to do that. Not to anybody on here. I don't feel like that's necessary. That's not necessary for her to do. I don't feel like but she ain't gonna listen to me. She hard-headed. She don't need to explain that. Talk to people who care and who's willing to be there for you. Even the back end, the front end can offer you words of comfort, can really relate to you, because this particular sector is not going to give you that. That's right, Deep. It is. This particular sector is not going to give you that type of comfort. They're going to use your trauma against you every chance they get. And when you respond, they know that that's your trigger. And they're going to keep digging and digging and digging and digging and digging at that. So whatever it is, try your best not to, share your trauma unless, you have that I guess surroundings around you that can drown out the negativity or drown out the BS. Unless you have that support system around you that can drown it out and you not hear it and be able to not respond to it, I wouldn't say anything on here about it, because it's just not fair, and it's not going to help your grieving process. It's not going to help you deal with it any better than you're already trying. You know what I mean? So, again, I was reading that story, and I was also, catching up on lives. So I said, well, let me come on here. I want to say this for a few minutes, because I did have a private conversation with her. But I wanted to come on because I'm pretty sure it's other people that may be grieving, that may have had loss of life. And you are either a content creator or you're a supporter on here, and, you're dealing with that type of grief. If you feel comfortable and you have a support system on here and you want to share it, please do. And only if you can allow it to drown out the negativity. But if you're not able to do it, then don't bring it on here, because it's only going to hurt, especially when people who don't like you, they're not doing it because they're doing it out of hate. They're doing it because they just dislike you. They're doing it because they want you to hurt and shut up. They just want something to pick and poke at. And I just think that's just so ugly, just so ugly. And, you know, like I said, one person did it. Yeah, I caught it. Yeah, I got the recording of it, but I wasn't going to respond to it, because the way the person said it, you could tell it was just an evil ass demon, just an evil ass demon out of, you know, just pure, to me, jealousy and everything else. You're going to find and do everything, because one thing, you can't put your hands on them, because that's what I would want to do. You can't get near them to put your hands on them. You know, you can't do anything. So why even get yourself all worked up when you can't even get near them to do anything? So I don't even bother. Why get myself all worked up like that when I can't really do what I want to do? You know what I'm saying? Not, you know, but especially involving something around your kids or your kids or your loved ones. The first thing you want to do is you just want to just, I know that's me anyway. I know that's me, but that's just something I wanted to come on and give a brief, just my heartfelt, you know, as a friend to Ashley D, and just tell her, you know, you don't have to. I want you to pay attention to this young man and his grief and what he's going to have to face, and see how he's facing it head on. And he's going to have to do that in front of the public, in the public eye. And if you go and look at one of his videos, I had one of his videos, y'all, I can't find it. He came on here, he talked about it. And, you know, I think he just said he's going to leave it at that, and he's just going to move with his actions. You know, there's no need to talk about it anymore, you know? So that's my thing to her as a friend, because I don't go live a lot, y'all. I really don't. I love doing my videos. As y'all can see, my videos get more playtime and whatever than any other. So I love doing videos. It doesn't take away from time of what I'm doing every day. But so I love coming on live, and I love doing videos and stuff, which I got a video coming out this afternoon, later on this evening. So you guys make sure you go check it out. But I just want to do this quick live to her. But I am getting ready to, you know, get off. For everybody who checks the replay, you guys leave a comment. But most of all, just go leave some comfort and support to your sister Ashley D, and just let her know, you know, you understand, but don't give anybody any ammo. Don't do it. Don't give nobody no ammo. They got enough. So, you know, I'm gonna leave it at that. But I'm gonna get off, y'all. That was just a really, really quick thing I wanted to do. But I'm gonna go, y'all. Thank you guys the little bit that came in here to hear it. I appreciate you guys so very much. And I'm gonna see you guys a little bit later. Make sure you check out the video that I'm getting ready to post tonight. I gotta finish a little bit of it. But I wanted to do this for Ashley. So make sure you guys go check out the video that I do put out. Is really good, y'all. It's stupid and it's really good. And yeah, I kind of act up a little bit in it, but make sure you guys check it out a little bit later on. So I will see you guys a little bit later.